Senator Ekong Sampson, born September 18, 1967 in Akwa Ibom State, Nigeria, is a distinguished politician and legal professional. He currently represents Akwa Ibom South Senatorial District in the 10th National Assembly under the platform of the People's Democratic Party, PDP. During the budget defense sessions, Senator Ekong Sampson served as the chairman of the Senate Committee on Solid Minerals Development. In this capacity, he led discussions and evaluations of budgetary allocations for the solid minerals sector. Senator Sampson graduated with distinction in mass communication from the Polytechnic Calabar in 1985. He later pursued a law degree in the former University of Cross River State, culminating in his call to the Nigerian bar in 1991. Furthering his academic pursuits, he earned a master's degree in law from the University of Lagos and a doctorate in law from the University of Calabar. Beyond his legal career, he is a published author with notable works including Parliamentarianism in Nigeria, An Odyssey in the Niger Delta, and Law and Statesmanship, The Legacy of Sir Udo Udoma. Throughout his extensive political career, Senator Sampson has held several key positions such as chairman of Nkpanin Local Government Council. In this role, he was recognized for his grassroots development initiatives and close collaboration with traditional institutions. Member of the Akwa Ibom State House of Assembly, serving 2 terms, he was instrumental in legislative processes and was affectionately nicknamed the Compendium by his colleagues due to his depth of knowledge. Special Advisor and Commissioner for Environment and Petroleum Resources in Akwa Ibom State. In the Senate, Senator Sampson has been proactive in various legislative activities. He has advocated for increased support for the information sector and participated in discussions to enhance access to education for Nigerians. His commitment to public service and community development has earned him numerous accolades and the respect of his constituents. Senator Sampson continues to focus on policies that promote economic growth, environmental sustainability, and social welfare.
Welcome back. Thank you for joining us on the program. You're still watching NASS Unplugged, and to discuss today's prepared topic on the program with us is Senator Ekong Sampson, representing Akwa Ibom South District, and is a member of the People's Democratic Party and has held various political roles, and also the chairman Senate Committee on Solid Minerals. He's a journalist. Well, if you're a journalist, always a journalist. And he was served as a chief legislative assistant to Senator Udo Udoma, representing Akwa Ibom South in 2000. And then, as we go on, he would tell us when he began journalism. As then, I doubt if persons like us were even in existence then. Thank you very much, Senator Sampson. Thank you very much. Thank you. You are a journalist. What does it feel like being a journalist?
I'm also a lawyer.
Interesting.
I travel on 2 lanes. Law and journalism. So I'm at once a lawyer and also a journalist. Living in 2 worlds, so to say. And it's been very rich. It's been very rich. The background has been very instructive and challenging. One cannot forget so easily what one learns as a journalist and what one also learns later as a lawyer. So when you come from such a background, you are challenged to work even harder because you represent a lot of people. You represent some constituencies, and you are challenged to do your best because on the one hand, the journalists expect this from you. On the other hand, your other colleagues, the lawyers, expect so much from you. So living in 2 worlds has been quite challenging, and I must confess, fulfilling.
Interesting. So what are we looking at here? 1985, I ever heard you say so?
2095, I slept to God. 2027, we are in 2025. I'm here to serve my people, Akwa Ibom South. I come from a diverse arena, if I may say so. From a central district that is quite diverse, oil-rich. My central district contributes extensively to the Nigerian economy. And is a diversity, is one rich mix. We have the Ibibio, we have the Oron, we have the Obolos. So I represent a diversity. And that itself presents a challenge, and that you must mirror a pan-Nigerian landscape. So in a way, I represent a pan-Nigerian landscape. And the challenge of meeting up their demands, being on top of the game, have been quite huge. But I thank God. I must always thank my people in Akwa Ibom South who have been very supportive. I've been very lucky, I must say, and I must remain very grateful to God. It's God who has put me here. It's God that inspired me. And His mercies have seen me through a lot of turbulence, through triumphs. And I'm quite grateful to the Maker.
Okay, let's delve into activities in the National Assembly. For me, I will ask this question, talking key initiatives. What are your primary legislative initiatives for the term, because we just resumed for the budget process, and how do they aim to address the needs of your constituents?
I think, well, I said earlier that my background has been quite useful to me. I have links with the Senate from as far back as year 2000, when I served as a CLA to Senator Udoma. I went on to serve as chairman of council at the time that the SP was our commissioner and did very, very well. Then I went on to serve in the State House of Assembly, in Akwa Ibom State, occupied a number of offices there. And then I also served as a commissioner in my state for 5 years through a number of portfolios. So the background has been quite helpful. Readily, as a lawyer, you know that you must identify your arena, your territory, as it were, the business of lawmaking. But beyond lawmaking is the issue of policy. To me, lawmaking should principally also reflect the nuances of policy. How do you strengthen institutions? It's very key. You don't just wear gas masks and occupy an elective office. You must know where you are going. What are the gaps to be filled? But lawmaking, in essence, also has to do with filling of gaps. With filling gaps, as it were. Education. I'm passionate about education. And that explains, if you are in chambers, you will say, I'm always interested where matters of education are raised. And the 10th Senate is doing well, working very hard to explore access to education. A number of bills aimed at establishing schools, establishing universities are on the floor. There's one that I sponsored, establishment of a Federal University of Technology in Ikorabasi. At the same time, I'm working with other stakeholders to push for the takeoff of the Maritime University in Oron. Oron Nation contributes a lot to Nigeria. They have a maritime academy there, and there's a push that the academy should translate to a University of Maritime Studies. And thankfully, the immediate past administration had signed the bill into law. So I'm working very hard with others to ensure that that university takes off. Schools, many of the projects that I've pushed are for schools. You know, the latest is my intervention that there must be boarding facilities in schools. Due to the economic, factor in Nigeria now, many teachers, especially in the rural areas, find it difficult to pay their way to school. So many of them cannot go to school every day to teach. If we build more quarters for these teachers, they will live within the school premises and impacts more on the students. So I'm very passionate that we have to create such accommodation for teachers in secondary schools, and in fact, even in universities. Teachers need to live more among students to deliver. And I'm very committed to that objective. Healthcare, a healthy mind is a productive mind. I'm passionate that we also have to drive our healthcare needs, and I'm pushing that as well. Lawmaking in Nigeria has to do with creating and sustaining a connect. If you can't connect with your people, then you are going to be in trouble. Access to your constituents is very key. And that explains why within a few weeks of my being in the Senate, I opened my constituency office in Eket on Atamong Road, Eket, which is very visible. In fact, as we speak, I have 3 offices in my Senatorial district. My main office is in Eket, very visible. There's one in Nikorabasi, and there's one in Oron. This makes it easier for my people to access me and channel their needs to me. Of course, we live in an environment where empowerment is key. You just have to help. Our democracy is not like what obtains elsewhere, where, yes, you talk about policy, talk about lawmaking, but you here have to also connect and see where you can complement the efforts of government. So far, I've been able to touch over 1,000 constituents, through a number of interventions, business grants, education grants, and that's occurred within my first few months in office. Of course, that number has grown more since then. The number of grants to those in school, number of support to those who want to start up businesses, we also rolled off, and it has been very, very helpful. But the beauty of what I'm doing for Akwa Ibom South is that my projects are well spread. It is said that charity begins at home, but I think charity should begin from needs. I'm a believer in proper needs assessments. You must intervene based on need, not necessarily based on where you come from. And that's why if you go to Oron Nation, you see my project. You see mine in Okobo, you see mine in Udungonko, from everywhere. You go to Eket Nation, you see my project in Eket, in Ibono, in Eseket. You, of course, you go to Ikorabasi, you see one there in the university where I'm building a major classroom block. You see my project in Benin, you see in Isnabolo. The broad spread is very key. That way, your people have access to opportunity. I've been very passionate that my people must be employed. So I'm one lawmaker here who set up a labor desk in his office, and that has helped a lot in pushing for jobs for Akwa Ibom South sons and daughters. A number of them have been employed. A number of them are being profiled. I personally have employed a lot of youth from our state, across board, close to 200, So I also helped to push many of them to get jobs from the government, both federal and state. I reach out to my friends and contacts. Because unless we create more jobs for youths, we cannot really address the challenge in this country of insecurity. The more our youths are gainfully employed, the more we promote security in this country. Joblessness creates insecurity. Hunger, poverty, superstition, drug abuse, a number of factors breed insecurity. But working from an enhanced perspective, we can get many of our youths off the streets, create jobs for them, get them gainfully employed, and then make this country a safer environment.
You've talked so much on education, which you are gearing towards meeting UNESCO's target. You talked so much on aside education, healthcare services, access to healthcare, and then other areas, talking youth empowerment. There are challenges I know you'll be facing. What are these challenges you're facing that you think that can be actually, overcome or surmounted?
Yes, because of our environment, the challenge of poverty, the challenge of pressure on the economy, even the challenge of ignorance. Ours is not a very sophisticated environment. So you find a number of loose ends which you try to tie up. You address this through empowerment, but you can also address this through communication. Let your people see you. Public service comes with a sense of sacrifice. If you're not prepared to offer a sense of sacrifice, please stay away from public service. Your people must access you. They must ask you questions. Sometimes those questions may appear not too important, but they may equally be very fundamental.
So you're saying there should be accessibility between you and the
Of course, it's very important. When you are distant, you create a wall. You create a disconnect with your people. So we can address a lot of issues in this country through access, through accessibility to your people. Engage them. Let them ask the right questions. Let them also ask a range of questions. Some may not be too clear, but then they help to convey a meaning. Principally, access is key in a democracy, especially in a third world country, where there's a lot of ignorance, where there's disconnect between government and the governed. Governments must not be seen as one masquerade, as one behemoth. No. I'm passionate that there must be a buy-in. How do you achieve a buy-in for government? People must feel as if they are part and parcel of what I usually call the governance matrix. There's a difference between government and governance matrix. It's very key that people have a buy-in into the governance matrix, see themselves as part and parcel of governments. That way they can help to protect government. And that creates a challenge for us to protect our democracy. We just have to, because there's no sane substitute to democracy. We must do all we can to protect this model, protect the institution, because you cannot contemplate any substitute for democracy in Nigeria. So all hands must be on deck. And in doing this, we the players must ensure that there's a buy-in by the people. We must drive policies that connect with our people. We must be responsive to their feelings, and we must also invest in their future. That is why I'm here, to help, to do the little that I can to help.
To town hall meetings, would these also be useful for the senator constituent relationship? Yes. Are you open to?
It's very key. You must talk to them every time. Yeah. The diameters for the conversation are endless. There are no strictures. There's no pigeonholing. People have to know what you are doing. You must talk with them every time. I came back from Akwa Ibom South last month. I went around all the 12 LGS in my Senatorial district. I have 12 local government areas. The largest in Akwa Ibom State, 12. I made sure that either I went in person or sent teams to engage with my constituents. Of course, beyond the normal goodies, Christmas, rice, cash to assist, you create that connect with them. And the results, the results have been amazing. And this is what I've been doing from my years, even as a chairman of council. When I was a chairman of council in my state, I lived among my people. Nowadays, you don't see chairman of council living among their people. Some of them prefer the comforts of safer zones, as it were. But as a local government chairman, I lived in the village, so to say, amongst my constituents. And when I was also in the State House of Assembly, I made sure that I connected with them every time. That explains partly why I was voted into the Senate, because my people believed in me, and they know that they can easily access me.
So with the budget process ongoing that should be laid before both chambers of the National Assembly next week, talking constituency projects, what other areas, new areas you think you would want to develop or bring on board to improve constituency development in your constituency?
Yeah, I think we readily strengthened our basic attitudes, our approach, as it were. I've made it very clear that I represent a diversity that must be respected. That is to say, every strand must have the benefits of my project. Every strand, every segment. Because access to opportunity should be key in a democracy. We were talking in a void in a democracy if we don't talk about access to opportunity. My people must have access to opportunity. Akwa Ibom South people. So whether you are Oro, you are a kid, you are Bolo, you are a Bibio, you must have my projects. Where you come from. I must also be able to push your people into government employment. I must be able to give every strand access to opportunity, access to infrastructure as much as I can. So basically, that principle will be retained. That every part of my central district has access to opportunity, whether in terms of infrastructure, in terms of employment, in terms of access to democracy. Is very key. Freedom to exercise your right to good governance. We talk with fondness about democracy in Nigeria, but let me say about good governance. To me, the two models must be used interchangeably. They that connect necessarily so to drive growth between the models of democracy and those of good governance. Because to me, to have democracy without good governance creates a missing link. But where you have democracy and good governance, then the people are happy. So I'm committed to democracy and good governance, not democracy in the abstract.
So finally, let's talk about your personal insight, talking political philosophy. What core values guide your decision as a senator?
The value of service, transparency, good faith, and results. And it's very important that when you are occupying a public office, you must understand that you are merely a trustee. And that, in a way, you must be driven by true values of service, values of selflessness, values of courage. Very, very key. There's a missing link when a public servant or a politician does not practice these values. Selflessness, courage is very key. Because you are there as a trustee. You are holding a mandate in trust for your people. And you must also appreciate the dictates of national service, the principles of the patriotic spirit, as against narrower considerations. So we need patriots in Nigeria, people driven by the larger picture of Nigeria, as against what I always lament as narrower considerations. Because you find, and you get worried sometimes when some appear more loyal to tribe, to religion, than to the country. National interest is fundamental. But when we can properly situate our national interest, then our democracy is on safe ground. Just have always said that to drive true democracy, we need people to be involved. We also need a strong economy, because a weak economy puts pressure on democracy. A weak economy puts pressure on democracy. If people are well fed, if people are being lifted out of poverty, then you are safer as a democracy. The way there's a lot of pressure on the economy, and the economy is weak or gets weakened, then there's pressure on democracy. So as a collective, I've been insistent that we must strengthen the flanks of our economy, diversify. That was we are also pursuing through our committee on solid minerals, because Nigeria needs to diversify the flanks of our economy. We cannot depend only on oil and expect to grow meaningfully. We must diversify the flanks of the economy. And I must commend Mr. President, the Senate as an institution, for our interest in solid minerals, because Nigeria is so hugely endowed. We have a lot underneath our head in terms of solid minerals. So when we explore and diversify, then we are going to strengthen our economy, and it will bring happiness. People will be happy. There will be less insecurity, less tension. When people are happy, the tension dies down. When people are very angry, then nobody is safe.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Senator Ekong. Well, that's how much we can take on today's interview. We'll be speaking with Senator Ekong Sampson. He represents Akwa Ibom South District, and he's a member of the People's Democratic Party and has held various political positions in the country. Also, he is the chairman, Senate Committee on Solid Minerals. We'll take a quick break, and when we come back, NASS Unplugged continues. Don't go away.
I remain Ekong Sampson. I speak, and respectfully so, for Akwa Ibom South. I move that a bill for an act to provide for the establishment of Federal University of Technological Overseas and for other matters be read the second time.